Throughout the rich tapestry of NBA history, certain playoff rivalries stand out as epic clashes that have left an indelible mark on the sport. Today on Dunk Dynasty Hoops, we're counting down the top 10 player versus player rivalries, intense matchups in NBA history. These are the showdowns that defined eras, captivated audiences, and left us on the edge of our seats. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Number 10. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant were once the greatest duos in the league. However, when the latter decided to depart to Golden State via text in 2016, after telling his former teammate he would stay, the rivalry between the two began. These two had intense battles on the court anytime they matched up, even having a few shoving matches and nearly fighting on the court. The only thing holding this rivalry back was the lack of a postseason meeting between their two squads. Number 9. Shaquille O'Neal versus Dwight Howard. Shaquille O'Neal's career was ending as Dwight Howard's was just getting started. Funny enough, the beef between the two started after the latter used a Superman costume at the 2008 dunk contest. O'Neal, having used the nickname before, felt slighted. The two still have a rivalry today, with the retired player taking any chance he can to poke fun at the Lakers center. At this point, O'Neal and Howard have been beefing for nearly 15 years, despite the fact that one is retired and one likely will be soon. Number 8. Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan. This beef is one that is incredibly strange given the figures involved. Kevin Garnett is one of the best trash talkers to ever step on the court, while Tim Duncan is somewhat of a quiet player. The former Boston Celtic always did his best to draw something out of his fellow great, which he rarely did. However, Duncan would admit that he would sometimes poke the bear when he played Garnett, which worked. These two had a great rivalry on the court, as two of the greatest big men of the 2000s. Number 7. Russell Westbrook versus Patrick Beverley. Russell Westbrook is one of the stars of the NBA. He is a former MVP and All-Star and will no doubt go down as one of the best to ever step on the court. With all those accolades, you would expect him to have a greater rival than Patrick Beverley. For some reason, these two nearly fight every time they're on the court. The beef between them began in the 2013 playoffs, when Beverley injured Westbrook, causing him to tear his meniscus. Since that injury, the two have been at each other's throats. Number 6. Michael Jordan versus Isiah Thomas. Michael Jordan's beef with Isiah Thomas was one of the most important rivalries of his career. The two met on several occasions in the playoffs, as the Bulls looked to continue their dominance, and the Pistons were the biggest threat to them. While many may have only seen a competitive rivalry between the two, Jordan really hated Thomas off the court as well. The former MVP reportedly once demanded that the Pistons great not be allowed on the famous Dream Team of 1992. Number 5. Shaquille O'Neal versus Kobe Bryant. These two were arguably the greatest duo in NBA history, as they won multiple championships for the Los Angeles Lakers during their time together. However, by the end of O'Neal's tenure in LA, the two were at each other's throats. When O'Neal left LA, he let loose on Bryant in the media, to which the latter responded in a similar fashion. The only thing these two were missing was a great postseason series. Thankfully, they reconciled and became friends before Bryant's tragic passing in 2020. Number 4. LeBron James versus Kevin Durant. LeBron James has had many rivalries, but none were greater than his beef with Kevin Durant. While these two didn't have too many issues off the court, they have a clear, intense rivalry on the court as the arguably two best players in the league. These two have met many times in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals. Durant currently holds a 2-1 finals edge over James, as the Golden State Warriors dominated the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2017 and 2018 NBA Finals. Number 3. Isiah Thomas versus Larry Bird. Larry Bird and Isiah Thomas met many times in the playoffs, notably having a great 1988 Eastern Conference Finals against one another. However, the real beef between them mostly off the court and began after the Pistons legend made some controversial comments. Thomas once opined that if Bird wasn't white, he'd be just another guy, which promoted a big rivalry between the two. The beef famously continued after their playing days. When Bird was hired to be Pacers GM in 2003, one of his first decisions was to fire Thomas, who was the head coach at the time. Number 2. Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. From one pair of Lakers and Celtics greats to another, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had a great rivalry during their time in the league as the respective faces of the two greatest teams in the NBA. It helped matters that they played in the NBA Finals against one another 3 times. Johnson's Lakers defeated Bird's Celtics 2 out of 3 times, giving him the head-to-head advantage. While the two had a great rivalry when playing, they've actually become friends in their time since retirement. Number 1. Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. This rivalry, even though both players have been retired for nearly 40 years and one is deceased, is still heavily debated. Who was the better big man of his era, Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell? Chamberlain, a 7 feet 1 inch center, had a strong all-around talent advantage with averages of 30.1 points and 22.9 rebounds. However, Russell, a 6 feet 9 inch center, had 11 championship rings and out-rebound Chamberlain twice in the regular season, proving to be a better player. No matter whose side you may be on, this is easily the most intense rivalry in NBA history. The two men involved helped put the league on the map and helped make basketball the sport it is today. Even if you aren't a fan of either player, you can appreciate the intensity of their matchups. And there you have it, our top 10 player versus player rivalries in NBA history. Did your favorite rivalry make the list? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more basketball content. Until next time, keep ballin'.